Very good afternoon to you from sunny Edinburgh at the moment. Welcome to the latest episode of Freeworld Trading News Roundup. Now we've got quite a packed episode for you today. We're going to start off by talking a little bit about the pretty unexpected increase in almond prices recently, which you could elaborate on.
Yeah, well, basically what happened is that in the last few days the euros shot up. And that means a lot of European buyers have come into the market because they need to buy. They need to buy almonds. They've been holding off. The euro was 106, etc. Today it's 111, and they're coming back in because that's a 5% discount, if you like.
Yeah.
And they're grabbing all the almonds which are nearby and afloat. And that's because there's less availability of stock, because people want to buy, and when people want to buy, then the sellers put the prices up. So
sure.
Actually, prices have moved up about 10 cents because 10 cents a pound because there's a lot of demand rather.
Sure.
And for the life of me, you can't see any way for the price to come down in the next 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe till the new crop.
Yeah.
So yeah, almonds up, and simply because people still want to buy the damn things.
Right. Okay. So demand is high.
Yeah.
Just on a separate topic, we're going to talk about, as we talked about in the last episode, the frost at the moment, which wasn't as bad as we thought in Turkey.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a bit more on that in terms of how it affected the main crops in Turkey?
Yeah. Okay.
Sultanas and
well, we're going to look at the three main crops that we're interested in anyway, which is hazelnuts, apricots, and sultanas. There were actually two frosts, and the way these two frosts have impacted on the pricing of these three commodities is different for each commodity. There was a frost around about the 9th of April,
right,
and there was a frost around about the 24th of April. For, let's say, apricots, there was a big reaction to the initial frost on the 9th. And everybody kind of withdrew their offers. They didn't want to offer pricing. When we had the second frost on the 24th, there was more concern. But after that, there was a further assessment, of course, of the damage. And that's not an easy thing to do because it's all about perception by the farmers there. And now we have increased prices, but we do have offers. So, if you like, the situation is a bit more stable. But we will expect, because the market's empty in terms of stock till the first arrivals, and we're expecting a later delivery, that the market is going to start off pretty firm again.
Yeah.
So, the second year in the row. Hazelnuts. Neither frost has had a significant effect on the price.
Okay.
That might just be because the things are so expensive already, but pretty much we're seeing some stability in the face of these weather challenges, and our general feeling is that the market is stable now till at some point when enough hazelnuts are in the market to satisfy everyone, which will be maybe October, maybe November. So we see that market as stable now. Right. Expensive but stable. And then sultanas, different again. The first frost on the 9th, around about then, didn't have much of an impact on sultana prices. There was a bit of flapping around and concern. But the second frost seems to have had a more significant effect. So in some cases people are still withdrawn, in some cases people are getting together offers, but everybody's a little bit concerned particularly about the new crop.
Yeah.
Sultana pricing. Current crop doesn't seem too turbulent at the moment.
Okay, sure. So, so not as bad as it
Not
seems.
as bad, and of course, you know, one finds it difficult to believe that the same frost could be so intensive in all these very different geographical locations, two by the sea, one in the middle. Okay.
So I'm just going to have to stop you there and move on to the third thing we're going to talk about today, which is a recent study, I think, done in Leeds University about just reaffirming the importance of the Amazon rainforest in terms of storing carbon. What was the exact study about?
Well, the study was by a lady called Michelle Johnson.
Yeah.
And really, you know, if you look at our ecosphere, in other words, the world, what happens is that carbon can actually be out in the air, or it can be in organic life forms, and that's basically trees. So every time you burn a tree or you rip down a tree, you remove some of that buffer stock of carbon, which is in a stable form and not floating around in the air and becoming a greenhouse gas.
Yeah.
So what this lady has said is that basically 1% of the trees in the Amazon rainforest contributes a disproportionate amount of carbon storage. And the old Brazil nut tree is in that select few. Now, of course, really, what we're talking about, there's no magic property of Brazil nut trees. What it is that they are very big. So what the biomass is the number of individuals by the average size of the individuals, is total large. It's large for, there's that many more kilos of Brazil nut wood, if you like, in the Amazon than anything else.
So I'm just going to stop you there. So what we have on the website at the moment, I'm not sure if some of you already know about this, is an ongoing project called Brazil Nuts Can Save the World. Now this has received some publicity in the past, and it's something we need to continue working on. How is this study going to help us with this project? I mean, surely it's a good selling point.
Well, it's. I mean, it doesn't necessarily follow that you should buy Brazil nuts, but it does indirectly, because if you give an income to keeping the rainforest rather than chopping it down, and don't forget that in these areas like the Amazon rainforest, the population is extremely light. You know, there's hardly any people there, so a little bit of economy can keep a lot of people going, and we can publicize this. We can publicize this because unless you give people a reason to not chop down the forest, in other words, if they can have a good sustainable income and a life, then there's some reason to keep the rainforest, and that's actually what is happening. A Brazil nut collector can make about $10,000 a year. So if they make another $10,000 a year collecting a side, that's $20,000 in a situation where you basically just have to buy a bag of rice every now and then. And it's enough to educate the children, and therefore is by definition sustainable. Your kids can and will do it.
Scroll down this video to see more information about this project we're working on, and we've worked on at the moment with Kew Gardens also. So it's a project which is tremendously important, not just in terms of the environment and sustainable development, but also the social and economic development of Riberalta and those areas around the Amazon rainforest too are still, by all means, need that education and health and clean water to keep them going. Right, so it's not just an friendly project, it's a human, it's a human friendly.
It goes back to actually a concept of a Scottish ecologist, which is that if you keep people in an environment, if you let them live in that environment, then they will want to live in a sustainable environment. They know that they need firewood to burn, that they need, the trees are their friends, if you like, right? Once you take people out, then there's nothing to stop you just selling it, creating and replacing it with a monoculture.
Okay. So just to finish off this video with touching upon a press release sent by the UK Trade Association. Now tree nuts and peanuts have joined forces with now what is the UK Trade Association.
Yeah, that's right. There were previously two associations, Centre, Edible Nut Trading Association, and the British Peanut Council.
You were at the Centre meeting on
Yeah,
Friday.
there was a lunch.
Michael Stevens, our
yeah,
trader.
Michael was there. And it was great seeing all these people that I dealt with for many years, without 20, 30 years, who I'd never met. And what a gas they all are. But this was the first and last Centre lunch that we'll attend, because what happened in this in the AGM was Centre was actually disbanded and merged into a new organisation with members of the British Peanut Council and Centre now forming the TNA, the Nut Trading Association. There was some concern about procedural stuff, because these are both arbitration courts. Centre rules were adopted by the Nut Association, and all contracts which have a Centre arbitration clause will now be treated as the Nut Association arbitration.
Sure.
So those contracts aren't wild and feral. They are under the same rules as they always were, which are the Centre rules.
Right.
All the resolutions were passed unanimously, which is fantastic. And everybody felt that there would be a little bit more power for everyone to affect our own destinies, and so everybody's viewed the merger very positively.
Okay.
And we look forward to a sort of hybrid vigor that will come out of this.
Right. So a centralization, basically, of the business.
Yeah, in many cases
interests.
there were guys who are members of both associations. Peanuts has been a big part and is a big part of the trade here. But yeah, this will help in arbitrations, it will help in general marketing, etc.
Sure. So we'll have to stop there. So as you've probably noticed, we haven't mentioned anything about currency. If you'd like to see what's happening, the latest on the euro, obviously go on the left of our website. You can see a link to the BBC currency page. And that's it. That's all from us today. So thank you for joining us.